Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you might be watching this video at. Today I'm going to take you through a little bit of a day in the life, but also just kind of what I eat in my diet to pack on muscle. Originally the game plan was just to do a standard day in the life kind of thing, but then quickly realised I've not got a lot on today. As much as it is a busy day, it's not very exciting. So it's just after 5 in the morning. I'm just about to go and do my cardio. Then I have a couple of catch up calls with clients. Then I go train. It's legs and arms today. And I'm literally just spending the day doing everything. I also need to film another YouTube video. So it's just very much going to be a case of me on my arse just doing work. So it's not very exciting. So I thought I might as well try and spice things up a little bit by showing you exactly what I eat with my diet. So yeah, it's just after 5. I'm just away to go and do some morning bits, hydrate, take my supplements, splash some water on my face because I'm fucking knackered this morning, and then go and do my cardio, probably box off about 5k steps as well, and then come back and I've got my first call just before 8. So that's a game plan, and then I will guess catch up with you just before the call or just whenever I make my first meal. Okay, so I'm back. It is now 7 o'clock. I'm back. I've done my cardio, I've showered, I look a little bit more alive. I was going to say I don't look shit anymore, but it's maybe just a case of a little less shit. Plan now is I've got about 2 hours. So I need to make my first meal, eat my first meal, have 2 calls, record a YouTube video, and then get myself to the gym and go and train. So this first meal is going to be my pre-workout meal, obviously, and it's a little bit heavier, so it's giving me 2 hours to just get the food down and let it settle. So it's 40 grams of whey isolate, 100 grams of cream of rice, 100 grams of banana, 2 Rice Krispie square bars, and then 20 grams of nut butter dark chocolate. Taking the total calories to 850 there. So that is my second largest meal, my largest one being my post-workout meal, which funnily enough I'm going to have when I get back from the gym. So I'm just going to quickly make this. It's not anything fancy, so I don't exactly need to walk you through that. And then I'll show you the masterpiece afterwards. Okay, so first meal about to go down. And this is not what I have every morning on a Saturday. So I'm filming this on a Saturday. And I typically train a little bit later in the afternoon. However, on a Saturday, I train like first thing in the morning just to get it done and dusted. And then I've got I usually take like a half day on a Saturday regarding work. So I'll work up until like mid-afternoon, maybe up until like 5. And then I'll have the evening off, and then on a Sunday I take completely off. So I completely forget where I'm going with this. I like to train first thing in the morning. I say first thing, maybe like mid-morning. It's typical morning time, whatever. And then it gives me the rest of the day to just fucking get everything done. And then I've got the rest of the day to myself. So what I'm having my pre-workout meal a little bit earlier, and then I'll be having what I typically would have first thing in the morning, mid-afternoon, something like that. Okay, so here we have 100 grams of cream of rice, 100 grams of banana, 20 grams of almond butter, and 2 Rice Krispie square bars. Going down with a plenty bit of water as well at the same time. Okay, I'm just keeping an eye on the time. It's now just after 7:10, so it didn't take me long to cook at all. I need to quickly get this down. I need to quickly film another video and then set myself up for a call. So I'm not going to make you fucking watch me wolf this down, because it'll ruin your dinner, or whatever meal you're having. But I think what I'll do is I don't like track my food as such. I just make a meal plan, I follow the plan, and then that's it. What I'll do is I'll pop it into MyFitnessPal or some shit, and then I'll pop the macros up on the screen here so you can see exactly kind of like the calories, carbs, protein, whatever that I'm having per meal. Something to note for anyone that's wanting to actually design their own meal plan as such. Your pre and your post-workout meals are, in my opinion, the 2 most important meals. If you're someone who's training like a little bit later in the day, you can make an argument that your first meal is equally as important, but your pre and your post-workout meal should definitely be the highest in calories, the highest in carbs. Protein should be pretty consistent throughout the day. You should be having like a consistent amount of protein in each meal throughout the day, but the majority of your carbs should be pre and post. Top trick, I guess, if you're really looking to get more bang for buck out of the carbs in your pre and your post-workout meals, is combining fruit with those carbs. So having a carbohydrate source that you can definitely digest easily. So like whether that's cream of rice, white rice, oats,
I would say potatoes if you can digest that properly. Typically it bloats a lot of people and it's just a little bit heavier because there's more volume, but the cream of rice I'm having pre-workout, it digests very, very easily for me and very quickly. I'm also combining it with fruit. Now, with fruit, you get fructose, okay? And then with regular other carbohydrates, you get glucose. When you combine glucose with fructose, the amount of glucose that's available for your body to basically utilize is increased. So just by combining some fruit with your regular carbs that you're having in your meal, pre and post workout, is meaning that you're going to get more bang for buck out of the carbohydrates that you're having in those two meals. So I'm having banana pre. Post workout, it can literally be, it might be berries, it might be pineapple, it might be mango, whatever. Banana, you're going to get a little bit more fructose out of that, but really it doesn't matter as long as you're getting some source there. Right, so now I'm just getting my pre-workout hydration drink made, and I'm just getting my intra workout drink made up as well. I've already done so much talking this morning and I feel like I'm sick of the sound of my voice, but I'm just getting this made up now. So what I have on the way to the gym is 1 serving of Pumpage, just to help with pumps, 1 serving of Hydromax, which is going to help with hydration and pumps during my training session. And then intra workout, I have 10 grams creatine monohydrate, 20 grams of essential amino acids, and I'm meant to have 20 grams of cyclic dextrin, which is just a carb powder to help me fuel my training sessions, but because I'm a bit of a mong, I didn't order it in my last supplement haul, so I'm just having a Lucozade Sport during my training session instead. Same carbs, same calories, it's doing the exact same thing, it's just more fluid that I'm having to drink. Right, so that is legs and arms done and dusted. Also, excuse the mess in the fucking background here. Me and Kimberly are away on holiday next week, so we're kind of just, the place is a bit of a fucking shit show, just because everything is everywhere, and we're just making sure we've got everything and getting it packed and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, legs and arms done and dusted. This has been the first week on a new training split, so in one of the videos I posted a couple of weeks back, I sort of showed the diet that I'd done for holiday. And what the plan is, once I'm back from holiday, is to just go into a gaining phase, bulk, improvement phase, whatever you want to call it. And I want to go with a new training split, mostly because I fancy a bit of a change. I also want bigger delts, bigger arms, and of course, bigger legs. I always want bigger legs because they're fucking shit. My training split will always have like at least 2 leg days in it. For 6 months, I trained legs 3 times a week, and then that was a bit too much. 2 days a week is definitely the sweet spot for me, and what I'm going to be doing now is basically on the first leg day it's a little bit more quad dominant, second leg day is a little bit more hamstring dominant with a little bit of arms at the end of it. So it's going to be a bit more of a bro split in terms of like chest and triceps, chest and triceps, back and biceps, legs, off, delts and abs, legs and arms, rest. And then rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So that's what the new training split will be when I get back. This has been my first week on it, just to trial it and see what my thoughts are. Is there anything I need to change? I've actually really enjoyed it. And there's something to be said, like I typically will never give a bro split to my clients because I believe in like frequency throughout the week. So 2 to 3 touch points per body part or muscle group throughout the week, rather than just hammering a body part per day, which I'm kind of doing, but I just fancy having like one session where I just hammer a fucking body part and then go for it. But with the body parts that I do want to actually bring up, so I've got like in that chest day, I've got a little bit of delts. So delts are getting touched twice per week, legs are getting touched twice per week, and arms are getting touched. Well, biceps twice per week, triceps twice per week. So the areas that I really want to bring up are getting twice per week, and then back in chest are just getting the once per week. Anyway, it's a lot of shit chat. Post-workout meal I'm going to go and make 185 grams of Cocoa Pops, which is obviously a shit ton. It's meant to be 200 grams of apples, but I don't have apples, so I'm going to have banana instead. And then 50 grams of whey isolate. So I'm not a big fan of, like, me personally, I give my clients like rice-based cereals because I think they're perfect post-workout if they digest well. For me, it doesn't always. And I've always found cream of rice does a good enough job, so I have it pre and post. However, now that I'm at the point where I'm having to have like over 150 grams of it, cream of rice is very high volume, so it's just a bit too much, whereas the Cocoa Pops, it does the job. It's fine. It goes down quick enough, and it doesn't bloat me or anything like that. So I'm going to go make that. I'll show you afterwards, and then I need to fucking sit down for about the next 6 hours and just do a shit ton of editing, which I'm not someone who probably find it's hard to believe. I don't like the sound of my own voice. So when it comes to editing content, I'm really not I don't look forward to it whatsoever, but I understand it's a necessary evil. I don't mind producing it, but editing it is a bit where I cringe at myself. But yeah, I'm going to make the post-workout meal, sit on my laptop for probably the rest of the day, and then listen to my mundane, tedious voice for the rest of the day. Right, so post-workout meal, as I was saying, 185 grams of Cocoa Pops. I've swapped out 200 grams of apple for about 150 grams of banana. And then I've got 50 grams of whey isolate here, which is just going to go over the top. Now, something that a point I was going to try and get across is I think it's like a hot topic at the moment is kind of like if it fits your macros, flexible dieting, blah, blah, blah. And I think for the average person, having like almost a combination of a meal plan and a flexible dieting approach is the way to go. So what I mean by that is not eating completely different things every single day, every single meal, but having basically a structure where you maybe swap out carb sources and fat sources. Because the average person really does not have a decent understanding of what a carb source like for like is. So for example, they might think that swapping something like white rice, it's acceptable to maybe swap that for like Cocoa Pops, a prime example. Now, could you get away with that? Yes. I think maybe the average person could get away with it, but is it ideal? Absolutely fucking not. It also creates significantly more stress and overwhelm if you're having to think about eating something different every single meal, every single day, and it requires a hell of a lot more preparation. Whereas, if you have a structure in the sense of you've planned your protein sources for each meal, you can then swap out maybe certain carbs, certain fats, certain fruits, things like that. So rather than having like chicken and rice, you might make it into a chicken pasta dish, or you might make it into a chicken wrap, whatever the fuck it might be. Okay, for a prime example there is I ran out of apples and I've swapped it for banana. It's maybe a little bit of a smaller swap there, but it's just a prime example that I think having protein being the most essential macronutrient, having that planned into your diet and then maybe making adjustments to what goes with that protein source is the way to go about it. Because then it's not just a case of you having chicken and rice or mince and potatoes all the time. You can turn it into like chicken, you can turn it into fajitas, you could turn it into like chicken pasta, you could turn mince in pasta into mince in tatties, or you could turn it into a burrito if you really wanted to. Like, it's just, but first I think having a framework is the way to go about it, so you're creating less stress and less overwhelm. So I am about to eat this while watching something, which, if you ever wonder kind of like what shite I watch while I'm eating, it's typically something, I say educational based. Currently, it is a little bit something, you can't even fucking read that. Anyone who's ever heard of Vigorous Steve, very knowledgeable man regarding like anabolic steroids, peptides, any form of really enhancement. And he's just done a deep dive on retatrutide, so, you know, the weight loss injection, appetite suppressant. And this is something that I'm trying to become a little bit more educated on, because it's something that a lot of my clients have mentioned. It's something that a lot of people are talking about, and I think it's something that the average person has this misconception that, you know, the label weight loss injection is given this false narrative that by just stabbing yourself with this injection, you're going to lose weight, and that's not correct. And I think there needs to be a little bit more education on exactly what these injections do to your body physiologically and the repercussions or consequences that potentially come from that as well at the same time. I've not even got a fucking spoon for this, so I'm going to go and get that and wait to eat it. I'm then away to crack on with some work, and I guess I'll see you for the next meal in a few hours. Okay, so now we are on to meal 3. So this is the meal that I would normally have first thing in the morning, and I'd be typically having that's complete shite. I'd be typically having the meal that I'm away to have now, first thing in the morning, and the post-workout meal I'd be having probably round about now or within an hour or so once I go and train. But because Saturdays are a little bit different for me in terms of setup, meal 1 is meal 3. It doesn't really fucking matter. It is going down the same hole. Anyway, what I'm going to have is 4 whole eggs, 40 grams of whey protein isolate, 100 grams of oats, 50 grams of berries, and then 1 bagel with 20 grams of jam. 20 grams of jam? Where's my phone? 20 grams of jam? Is it 10 grams? Let's find out. 20 grams of jam. So 4 whole eggs, 40 grams of whey isolate, 100 oats, 50 berries, 1 bagel, 20 jam. So I'm going to make that. It's a hefty meal. I fucking love this meal. And then I've just realised I've not really been talking about the macros or anything that's in each meal. So what I'm going to do is just pop it all in. It's like MyFitnessPal or whatever, and then pop it up on the screen with each meal. So you'll have seen that in this video already. I very much quickly realised today that I've come to this conclusion that I've picked a truly awful day to film this video on. Just kind of with everything that I'm trying to get done today ahead of being away on holiday next week, and me cramming quite a lot of work into one day, and it requiring like a decent bit of, I guess, I don't know, focus, concentration. It's just, I feel like it's a lot for one day. And like my days are usually a lot more structured in the sense of like it's the same shit, different day. So like when I'm eating my food, or not when I'm eating food, after I eat my food, I will typically just go out for 10 minutes and walk around the block a couple times. And I find that just massively improves my digestion. I can get the food down easier, and it, like, we're all adults here and we all enjoy healthy, frequent trips to the toilet. It just keeps that consistent as well for me at the same time. Whereas today, like, a lot of my activity and expenditure has been done at the start of the day. It's been front loaded, and it's meaning that the rest of the day I'm not as active, and I'm kind of just sat on my fat arse after each meal. So I'm feeling like a little bit, this is going to sound pathetic, but I feel a little bit overwhelmed because I'm out of my normal routine in the sense of like not getting up and eating at the same time and doing the same thing at the same time. Even though my Saturdays are typically different from my Monday to Friday, today's Saturday is different from my usual Saturdays, if that makes sense. But I'm a grown arse man, so I'll just fucking get on with it and stop crying about it. Ideally would like to, because this is a pretty dense meal, I would like to go out for a couple laps around the block after this, but I've just wrapped up finishing the editing for that other YouTube video that I've been done this morning. So I could probably go and do it, but I've also got a lot of work that I want to get done before, ideally, 5 o'clock. I don't want to be spending tonight doing it, or tomorrow. So I think what I'll do is just make sure everything's done, and then get a heap of fucking walking and shit done later this evening, and decompress and de-stress after I say a busy day. It is busy. I don't find laptop work, when you call that like busy work, I just think it sounds pathetic because it's like you're just fucking sat on your arse. But it requires a lot of focus, it requires a lot of energy, and for someone like me where I fucking hate the sound of my own voice, it's let's just say it's a little bit draining. Right, so meal 3, which I am ecstatic for. All I can hear is Jerry Cinnamon's "She is a belter" whenever I sit down to eat this. We have 4 eggs with a little bit of ketchup on there. Don't know if you can see that. 4 eggs, one jam, 1 bagel with 20 grams of jam, and then 100 grams of oats with 50 grams of raspberries, and then that's whey isolate, kind of drizzle, liquid, fluid, whatever, just poured over the top to give it a little bit of flavour or whatever, I don't know. I realise as well, I've not kind of been, the point of this video is to kind of explain exactly why I eat what I eat, and when I eat, why I eat it when I eat it, which I've not been doing at all, so I'm going to try and correct that. So this being my, typically this being my first meal of the day, it's also the highest fatty meal, which I'm a firm believer that your first meal and potentially your final meal of the day should be the 2 highest fat meals, just for more so hormone regulation, either like going to bed and then first thing waking up when you're in a depleted state. Protein stays consistent throughout, pretty much. There are going to be some meals for me that maybe have a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on like around the training window. My pre-workout meal will always consist of covering like all macronutrient bases plus a fruit source. So there will always be a protein source in there that's easy to digest. There will always be a complex carbohydrate source in there. There will always be a unsaturated fat source, and there will always be a fruit in there. And then post-workout, it will basically be the same thing, just without any fats. So there will be protein, there will be carbs, there will be fruit, but there won't be any fats. The reason being is that fats slow down digestion, and post-workout, when you're wanting to digest that food as quickly as possible, that's obviously not what you want. There's something in there that is going to slow that down. So yeah, this typically being my first meal of the day. It's high in protein, it's high in fats, it's decent in carbs, but it's got some fibre in there from the fruit and the oats as well, which I think is pretty important just to have in a consistent day-to-day throughout all of your meals. So I'm on my way to get this down, and then I will catch you for the next meal. So I've moved over to the couch for meal number 4, not in some shite attempt to add a bit of diversity to the video or anything like that. But also just because I need a nap. So after I eat this food, I'm 100% going to have one. Also, who is that hench fucker in the background? If you look very closely, I think you can actually see a little bit of side boob there. Yep, nice. So meal number 4. Is this meal number 4? Yes. Chicken and rice, mate. Chicken and rice, the good shit. Chicken, 200 grams of raw uncooked weight, which is what raw is, so that makes sense. 65 grams of uncooked rice, and then 100 grams of veg, and my choice of veg is peas here. And I've used some soy sauce to give it, I guess, flavour, or some pink salt in there. It's just, yeah, to add a little bit to it, I guess. So yeah, I'm on my way to get this down. Nothing interesting, nothing fancy. I'm on my way to have this, I'm on my way to have a nap, get back to work, and I will see you for the 5th and the second last meal. Okay, so second last meal of the day, we have 5% mince, 200 grams of that, 65 grams of jasmine rice, and then just 100 grams of veg there. I've just used cut up peppers. The past couple of meals, so this one and the last one, obviously is literally just meat and rice, which I think for the standard person, they probably hear that and they think is boring as fuck. But 1, it's very time efficient, and 2, I think if you actually take the time to make it a little bit more enjoyable and just add some kind of seasoning, some kind of like low fat, low sugar sauce. Like if you think about some of your favorite dishes, like whether it's stir fry, pastas, curries, whatever the fuck it might be, like these are literally just meat and pasta, meat and rice, meat and ties, whatever it might be. You just need to spend a little bit more time making it more interesting. I can't be hooped with that, so I typically just have the ingredients with seasoning and maybe just like a little bit of sauce on it. Also, I'm a boring bastard and I'm not fussy with my food, so I'm not arsed. I also think it just means that when you do make these meals at home or you go out for dinner or whatever, it makes them more enjoyable. Rather than just you kind of having like these extravagant meals all the time and whatever the fuck. It's simple, it's cost effective, it's time efficient, it gets the job done. And again, because I'm a boring bastard and I'm not arsed about having the most extravagant meals with a dozen different flavours going on, it's very enjoyable, it's very tasty for myself. So I'm going to get this down. I've got one final meal to get in, which is a lot, say a lot, it's not a lot smaller. It's smaller, I think it's easier to get down, but I'm very, very much hungry for this, so I'm going to quickly get it down. So yeah, that's 200 beef mince, 5%, 65 grams of jasmine rice, and then 100 grams of veg there. So protein and a little bit of fats from the mince, obviously carbs from the rice, and then my fibre and shit, and micronutrients from the peppers. So I'm going to scoff this down, and I will see you for my 6th and final meal of the day.
Okay, so just in case it's not obvious, it is now the next day. Full transparency, last night I fucked it. I had my last meal, forgot to record it, fell straight asleep. Here we are. Okay, so what I've done is basically prepared my last meal that I'm having tonight. And it's just 200 grams of 0% Greek yogurt. I'm using the Fage Bay-free, lactose-free one, mainly because what I found recently is like a high amount of sort of dairy, specifically like cow's milk and things like egg whites, are causing like very bad bloating and just generally giving me the shits. So I'm basically taking them out. So Greek yogurt I thoroughly enjoy. I have this as my last meal because high protein, and I put a bit of dark chocolate in here as well just to get the fats in. And I have a bagel with jam as well. Obviously I'm not going to prepare that, but that is in a nutshell. I mix it with 20 grams of whey protein as well. just to give it some flavour. So high protein there with the Greek yogurt in the way, fats with the dark chocolate, and then bagel and jam just to cover some carbs to get the calories up there in the last meal. Another thing with the Greek yogurt as well, why I like to have this pre-bed, is the probiotics in it. So I take a probiotic supplement, but again, just having that in, removing the dairy removes any kind of like bloat or anything for me, but I still like to get the probiotics in from the Greek yogurt. Again, because I'm following a meal plan off the top of my head, I've got fucking no clue what my overall calories are, macros are, etc. But what I'm going to do is, I've got it written down. I just need to go and I'll put it up throughout the video in each meal, which you'll have already seen by now. And then I'll put the final calories and macros up here on the screen. If I had to guesstimate, I think it's just over 4,000 calories. Somewhere between 4,000 and 300. If it's above that, then fuck. Macros overall, I'm really not too sure off the top of my head. I think carbs will be above 500. Protein, I think overall will be about 300. Fats, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I'll figure them out. I'll put it on the screen. But that has been basically a full day of eating for myself. That is what I'm currently eating to pack on some muscle tissue. Weight at the moment isn't going up drastically. Under 1% of overall body weight going on each week. So it's not exactly anything too crazy. And it's a decent bit of food. Appetite's still sky high. Hunger's still sky high. Digestion is going well. Training performance is on the up and up. So there's definitely more room for food to go in. And again, I think the highest my calories have ever been is 5,500, something like that. But I definitely think this time round for this gaining phase, or whatever you want to call it, it'll definitely go a bit higher. But yeah, full day of food there. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching me fucking gorge my fat face with food. Any questions, any issues, drop me a comment below, find me a message on Instagram, whatever the fuck. And I will catch you in the next video.